Hello, everybody in the chess world. Today we're going to see some endings, and well, some of them are going to be magical. They're going to be, compositions. And this first one is such case. This was composed by Kasparian, a known, probably one of the most known chess problems composers. So okay, this is quite beautiful. We have this position here. It is white to play and win. So yeah, just pause the video and think, because yeah, I will take at least 5 minutes to trying to really grasp everything that there is in here. Okay, cool. So the first thing that you had to see in this problem, and this is a typical thing in compositions, is being careful, about not leaving some alternative winning line. So, when someone composes a problem, they want you to get into a particular path, one that is, full of beauty, like in this case. But they have to be careful not to leave any witnesses behind. In this case, those witnesses will be the variations. So if we were here to play, let us say knight a5, which will have this idea of playing simply, well, knight g7 check, and after king g6, bishop f5 mate. Well, this will obviously block the diagonal of our bishop, so this will allow king g4. And although it is true that we have this double check, this isn't even winning. So this is the detail that I wanted to show you before showing the final solution. Because after king f3, we do take the rook, and, well, probably a lot of you will say, well, this is probably a draw already. But you also have to see that after rook f2, this knight is even trapped. So it really, I mean, it will be basically a draw in which, probably white will be lucky to get a draw. But I think this is just an equal position. So, okay, going back, this wasn't hard to see, because the right first move in the problem is, well, the same that we just saw, but being precise. Like, well, knight e8 has the same mating idea. We just want to play knight g7 check, king g6, and bishop f5 mate. But we don't allow king g4, because the bishop's diagonal is still open. So, well, and in here, for example, well, f5 goes nowhere. We'll just take it, and again, knight g7 mate will be the threat. But, well, probably in calculation, I assume a lot of you saw knight e8, and probably you saw king g6. Because, okay, the idea is, now if we were to play, I don't know, knight g7, let us say that we play knight g7 and we still have this idea of bishop f5 mate, well, at least we should have h5, right? I mean, black can always, in these lines, vacate the h6 square for the king, and it's not receiving mate, so it's probably fine. So going back here is where the beautiful geometric, line and sequence starts. And you'll see that, well, the first move is h5 check, where black will be forced to take with the rook. Because, we always have the same checkmate. If king takes, knight g7, king, and bishop f5 mate. So, going back here, this forces rook takes. And, again, looking at beautiful geometry, f5 check is the move, and after rook takes f5, g4. And okay, I think seeing up to this position, maybe it's not super hard. It's probably something that is on the table. I mean, going back to the first position, because you see, probably so knight e8, why not? You probably at some point decided that, well, king g6 is going to be basically the only move. h5 is not easy to see in relationship with f5. Not so easy to see, but if, just by process of elimination, I think a lot of you probably ended up seeing this. Maybe those of you who are more familiar with these magical problems assume, okay, this is going to be some geometrical, beauty, so f5, it's logical. But Again, as I said before, I think a lot of you probably reach this position, and of course we are threatening just bishop takes f5 with mate, but the rook is just gonna go away. Let us say rook e5. So yeah, besides going away, we are just threatening the knight. And now is the moment where, yeah, this is the hard part of the problem. And again, if any of you didn't know this problem and has found the solution, just call me, please, because this is really difficult. So, okay, just pause the video and think. Yeah, and finally, again, yeah, beauty, geometrical, issues, bishop f5 check, which forces rook takes f5, and now is, the last blow that you had to see is this beautiful knight g7, and yeah, I mean, g takes f5 mate and g takes h5 mate are threatened, so yeah, there's nothing to do. The only legal moves for black are to move, either of the rooks. If you move the h rook, well, then g takes f5 mate, and if you move the f rook, well, just g takes h5 mate. So quite a beautiful one, yeah, right, by Kasparian. So yeah, let's go on. So for the second problem, well, again, here we have the white pieces, and it's our turn to move. And okay, we have a draw here for white, which initially seems quite impossible, right? I mean, there doesn't seem to be any real way to stop this pawn. This pawn looks like promoting, inevitably. So yeah, just pause the video and think. Okay, this one is not as magical as the last problem. Maybe not so hard, but it's still really not easy because, well, first we have to play a bishop h7, which obviously has the idea of going bishop on e4, and then we'll control the h-pawn and at least draw. But of course, black will take the pawn. And, well, there is this resource, bishop f5, hitting the pawn and forcing h2. And now bishop c8. So we're like, okay, we can now, if black makes a queen, we can just give the check from behind and again draw the game. But once again, you probably in calculation, a lot of you saw this king c6, which seems really decisive. So I think this is the moment where you really had to find the very difficult move. So that move it is okay, ready? Boom shakalaka is bishop g4, because now again we are about to play bishop f3. We're forcing black to promote, and after bishop f3 check, well, queen takes f3 is just stalemate, right? I mean, you probably got a little bit suspicious, about these two pawns here. What were these two pawns doing right here for this problem? Yeah, of course they were, just helping the stalemate for the composition. But again, I'd say the more realistic one, this one, right? Like this could maybe have, we could have seen this in a real game. Certainly more than the last, the first problem we saw. So yeah, let's go on. Okay, this third one is one of my favorites. I mean, I like how it is just, king and two rooks against king and two rooks. And I think it's really instructive. It can give us, there are so many patterns for a lot of our games, in this problem that I think this is the most useful, right? It's not so magical and stuff, but okay, it's white to play and win, but really, I'm not even gonna talk about how difficult or not it is. Just really, there's no magic involved here. Imagine really that this is a real game and try to calculate, because really, and in the end, it's, I don't know, really, for me this is pretty special. So yeah, just pause the video and think. So okay, the first move is probably natural, just rook e7 check, right? Because this obviously forces king h8, and now we do have this king h6 threatening rook h7 mate. So Yeah, so far so good. This is probably something that a lot of you have seen, probably quickly, pretty quickly. Okay, but the first thing that you had to see is that in here, Rook G E8 is the only move for black. So this is one thing that you had to see because, so yeah, this is the only move for black. So the first thing you had to calculate is this Rook G F8 alternative. Well, again, not too easy too hard to see, but it is made. You just have this Rook G1. So again, the relationship of the activity of the rooks, right? I mean, the problem is you're just taking out the F8 square for the king. So okay, again, not so hard. However, after this correct Rook G8, I think this is the moment where we'd probably get stuck, in calculations. We get this far and we're like, that black's king still looks kind of bad, kind of awful, like lacking squares. We have this super active king. My cat is about to be shown on camera, but I don't think yeah, well, okay, let's just continue. And really, it's not easy to find the move right here, right? Like, what do we do? Because the other problem is both of our rooks are threatened, if you will. So, well, you know that if we exchange one pair of rooks, well, then that's it. Unless there is something super clear or some clear checkmate or something, it'll be a draw. So yeah, the move that you had to see is this one. Yeah, the most aesthetical one. And what a beauty, right? This is winning immediately because we're just threatening, well, rook h7 check, king g8, rook d g7 check, king f8, and rook h8 mate. Like the sequence will be this, like this check, the king goes right here, we give the check with the other rook, the king goes right here, and this rook gives mate. And there's nothing to do because obviously, what rook takes is rook takes, and that's it. We give mate, and the same for the other line, right? Like if they take on d7, we'll just take here with immediate mate. So again, yeah, had to see this particular move to solve it, but really one of my favorites. Like so simple and so pretty, right? Okay, and this last one is, well, again, relatively known. This is the final and main problem of the movie The Lucian Defense with what was the name of these guys? John Turturro, and she was Emily Watson. What's her name? I think. I don't know. And you can leave it on the comments. And I don't know. The film is not bad. He has a lot of yeah, good details. The general treatment of what will be a chess tournament, a venue, the positions, the final positions, the way some of the players win the games, which are positions taken from real games, stuff like that. It's pretty good film. And yeah, they're quite spectacular is this last problem. Let's say, well, in the movie, Lucian is supposed to have had this position with black, and it was his turn to move. So yeah, again, I assume this is some sort of composition. So, and quite a nice problem, there is one particular move in the whole sequence because it is black to play and win that, okay, really hard to find. So yeah, pause the video and think. Okay, the first move is, yeah, the most obvious, just rook e3 check where, well, yeah, king g4 is basically the answer, I mean, if you play king f2, we can just play rook takes c3 check, followed by rook takes rook, so, there will be nothing more to see, just a rook up. So this is the only move, and, well, in calculation, I imagine that the first thing that we all do in calculation is, well, after rook checks and king g4, well, what do we do? We play h5 check, we play f5 check, again, we're trying to lure white's king into our camp to try to deliver some sort of checkmate. But, okay, f5 check is the right move. We'll see why not h5 check. But okay, first we are forcing king g5 because king h4 will receive this bishop e7, which is mate. So okay, we are forcing here. And now king g7, which has the idea of, well, just playing bishop e7 mate, right? Because we just covered this h6 square, right? So with this, okay, bishop e7 will be made. But of course, in calculation, it's not hard to see that knight d5 is controlling this e7 square. And well, since we're at white, well, maybe we'll take the rook. Well, not right now because, yeah, that will receive mate, but okay, it is also hitting the rook. So this is the moment where, well, you had to find a spectacular move, really. Here comes the real beauty of this problem. So, ready? So it's boom in your face, rook h3, which, well, first of all, we're just threatening again h6 mate because we just covered the h4 square. So this is no longer as an escaping square for white's king. So this does force g takes h3. I mean, that there's nothing else to do. Otherwise, really, h6 is going to be mate. And now we have h6 check, king f2, and finally bishop f2 mate. Like, yeah, the beauty of this rook h3 is that it forces white to create also this traitor pawn on h3, right? Because, yeah, this is the problem. h3 was available in general, but yeah, now it is no more. So this simple move is a checkmate. So yeah, and I'll also recommend you to see that film. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, chess film that there is out there. So yeah, you could watch that. Again, it's the Luzhin Defense. And thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.